Most misfortunes don't arrive out of nowhere like an unavoidable natural disaster. They happen because you refuse to stop when you notice the signs. Don't rush to blame the heavens, and don't blame other people or circumstances either. More often than not, the root of disaster comes from our own stubbornness in the face of early warning signals. If you find yourself running into one bad thing after another, start by asking yourself a ruthless question. Did I deliberately step into the mud, even though I had already seen the danger sign? There is one priceless asset that modern humans, over-dependent on analytical tools and surface-level data, are gradually losing: intuition. It is a sophisticated biological defense mechanism refined through millions of years of evolution. Intuition and instinctive warnings do not operate through long, elaborate reasoning. They don't need written evidence or complex charts and statistics. They are simply a quiet but powerful voice inside your head. A hard-to-describe unease in your chest that signals something is off its job is to keep you safe. Welcome to where you'll find truths society doesn't want you to know. The tragedy of being human is this: we repeatedly ignore the protective wall of intuition because we are trapped by intellectual arrogance. You think you're smart. You trust the business plans neatly drawn on paper. You trust your ability to control situations and tell yourself those vague feelings are just psychological weakness. And so you dive into a relationship where on the very first date, your intuition already sent red alert signals about the other person's dishonesty or narcissistic tendencies, but you choose to focus on the glamorous exterior only to pay later with years of torment. You accept a job where from the first interview, the moment you step into the office, you feel a suffocating, heavy atmosphere. The probing, unfriendly eyes of long-time employees make your stomach turn. Yet, for the high salary and the company's reputation, you push the feeling aside only to find yourself mentally exhausted 3 months later. You invest in a business with someone whose shifty eyes, evasive speech, or overly lavish generosity makes you uneasy. But because greed rises, because you can't bring yourself to stop, because you fear being seen as a quitter or worry about offending them, you shrug and keep going, and disaster begins to spark from that very moment of compromise. It must be stated bluntly in these cases, bad luck does not come from fate or the stars. It comes from stubbornness, from refusing to turn back even after seeing the yellow warning lights flashing. True intelligence is not a sky-high IQ or never making mistakes. True intelligence is having enough emotional sensitivity to stop at the right time, to cut losses, not only in financial investments, but also in emotional and time investments in life. By contrast, those with blind confidence often walk into dead ends. They smash their heads into the wall, then look up at the sky and ask, "Why didn't anyone warn me?" The warning was there a long time ago, in the partner's puzzled frown, in nights of restless sleep, in the unexplained stomach pain, every time you think about work, in the strange chill down your spine when you face an offer that seems too good. Your body and subconscious are massive data collection systems. They record millions of microsignals before your conscious, logical mind has time to process them. When you feel pain or anxiety, it's because the data has overloaded and is screaming for your attention. You simply don't want to believe those signals, because believing them forces action, forces change. And human nature resists change. Change means inconvenience, tearing down and rebuilding, facing uncertainty. If you'd rather endure familiar suffering than face the fear of breaking toxic habits that have raised you, you choose sugar-coated poison instead of bitter medicine. No matter how harsh life is, it often gives you chances to turn back. Emergency exits are always placed along the path of wrong decisions. The core issue is whether you are willing to open your ears to hear and open your eyes to see. If you cover your ears and eyes and rush forward like a car with failed brakes, don't ask why the ending is so catastrophic. Etch this risk management principle into your mind. Preventing misfortune at the seed stage is better than exhausting yourself cleaning up ruins afterward. Prevention is always better than cure, and the cost of fixing mistakes is always more expensive than the cost of caution. And if right now you vaguely feel trouble approaching like a dark cloud hovering over your head, Don't wait until it erupts into a thunderstorm before waking up. Wise people live by a smooth combination of sharp intuition and refined observation. They use intuition to set direction and logic to verify. The foolish, on the other hand, live by rigid reasoning on paper and the stubbornness of ego. Most pitiful of all is the person who clearly knows everything is wrong, clearly knows the ship is sinking, yet keeps walking forward simply because they regret the distance already traveled. Because they've gone too far, they never dare to turn back. Psychology calls this the sunk cost fallacy, a flawed mindset that makes us keep investing in a losing venture only because we've already invested too much. Remember, it is never too late to turn back, never too late to start a more correct path. The price of turning back today may be embarrassment or financial loss, but the price of continuing into a dead end tomorrow could be your entire life. The real question is whether you have the courage to admit in the mirror that this misfortune didn't come from elsewhere, wasn't brought by anyone else, it came from your own stubborn choices yesterday. To understand this mechanism more deeply and to move beyond vague spiritual labels, we should look at intuition through neuroscience and behavioral psychology. Intuition is not magic, it is a form of high-speed logic in thinking fast and slow. Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman explains that the brain has two thinking systems. System 1, fast, instinctive, emotional. System 2, slow, logical, calculating. When you meet someone and immediately feel you can't trust them, even if they are well-dressed and articulate, that's System 1 at work. It scans your massive archive of past data, thousands of faces, tones, and micro-gestures you've encountered. It compares that database to the person in front of you. If your subconscious detects a mismatch like a smile that doesn't reach the eyes or an abnormal breathing rhythm, it fires a warning signal. Because this happens in an instant, your conscious logic can't explain it in time, so you label it a feeling, ignoring System 1 and trusting only System 2. Only what you see and hear, only promises and contracts, is what leads to fatal errors. A classic example is seasoned investors. They don't only read financial reports, logic, they also observe leadership behavior, company culture, and the energy of the business. When they see a CEO overly polished in image, yet dodging every tough question, their intuition sounds the alarm for lack of transparency, and they walk away. Meanwhile, inexperienced investors often pride themselves on being purely rational. They look only at profit numbers, forecasts, and illusions, then charge in like moths to a flame. When the truth surfaces, they blame the market, and bad luck, not realizing the signal had already been broadcast from the leader's demeanor from the start. Kahneman also tells a story about a fire captain. While fighting a fire inside a house, the captain suddenly shouted, "Everyone out now." The moment the team ran out, the floor collapsed. Later, when asked how he knew the floor was about to fall, he couldn't logically explain it. He only said the fire felt hotter than usual and the noise had gone strangely quiet. In reality, decades of experience had loaded his brain with patterns, data about temperature and sound that precede a floor collapse. He didn't need to reason it out step by step. His intuition short-circuited the logic process and issued the evacuation command. Life is the same. You don't need to be a firefighter to have intuition. You have lived experience. When intuition speaks, it's the firefighter inside you shouting. Unfortunately, many of us choose to cover our ears. Modern life is full of noise and distraction that dulls our ability to hear the inner voice. We are too busy staring at phone screens, comparing ourselves to others on social media, chasing society's imposed standards of success, so busy that we forget how to connect with ourselves. We fear silence, because in silence, the bare truth surfaces. This relationship has been dead for a long time. This job is killing your creativity. This lifestyle is destroying your health. So we choose constant noise to cover it up. But that avoidance becomes fertile ground where the seeds of misfortune sprout. A woman enduring an abusive husband may deceive herself. He'll change. He's just hot-tempered sometimes. Even though her intuition screams every time he drinks, she uses logic to justify her fear of leaving, fear of starting over. When things go too far and cause irreversible harm, It is no longer unlucky fate. It is the consequence of repeatedly refusing to listen to survival instincts. We also need to discuss opportunity cost in intuition-based decisions. When you cling to something that is wrong, a project, a person, a habit, you are not only losing resources to that wrong choice, you are also losing the opportunity to find what is right. Every minute you spend arguing with someone unreasonable is a minute you lose of your own peace. Every dollar you throw into a hopeless project to recover is a dollar you cannot invest into a more promising opportunity. Those who stop at the right time understand the value of limits. Limits of time, health, and money. They do not allow themselves to waste precious resources in bottomless black holes. They would rather be labeled a quitter by shallow people and become the winner of their own life. Sometimes the greatest courage is not charging into battle, but laying down weapons in a meaningless war to preserve your strength. It is losing small to win big strategic thinking that only the truly mature and profound can understand. Returning to the idea of being smart, we must redefine it. In real life, intelligence is not solving calculus or memorizing history. Intelligence is the ability to recognize patterns. Someone who has been deceived forms a pattern in the brain for a deceiver. Next time they meet someone with similar behaviors, the brain matches the pattern and warns them. A foolish person says, "This time will be different. Don't judge like that." A wise person says, "I've seen this script before, and I don't want to watch the ending again." The difference is respect for past data. Don't underestimate your scars. They are the most expensive lessons that build your intuition system today. If you keep falling in the same place into the same type of person, losing money in the same type of investment, it's not bad luck. It's laziness in extracting the lesson. You are living like a wild animal rushing into a trap for bait, rather than like a hunter with strategy. The universe teaches patiently. It repeats the lesson in many different forms. The pain intensifies until you learn it and change your behavior. If you feel life keeps throwing the same obstacles at you, stop and ask, what lesson is this that I still haven't learned? So how do you sharpen intuition and avoid unnecessary disasters? First, learn to observe micro signals. Don't wait until someone is holding a knife before realizing danger. Watch how they treat service staff, how they talk about ex-partners, how they react when things don't go their way. A fake, kind person can hide behind beautiful words, but cannot hide their unconscious reactions. Second, focus on bodily sensations. When facing a decision, listen to your body. Do you feel light and open or contracted and heavy? The body doesn't lie. It responds directly to the energy of a situation. Third and most important, accept the truth no matter how harsh. Don't paint reality pink. Don't cling to delusional hope that someone will change. See things as they are, not as you wish them to be. That clarity is your strongest shield against life's storms. When you live more realistically, stay anchored in the present, and respect your deepest perceptions, you will see luck naturally smile at you. In truth, it isn't luck falling from the sky, it is the inevitable result of a chain of correct decisions, choosing friends wisely, choosing work wisely, and choosing when to stop. Finally, remember, life is essentially a series of continuous choices, and every choice carries consequences. No supernatural force has time to curse you all day. There are only cause and effect laws operating coldly and objectively. Sow carelessness, reap accidents. Sow blind trust, reap deception. Sow indulgence toward wrongdoing, reap harm. And conversely, if you sow caution, deep listening, and the courage to let go of toxic things, you will harvest peace and durable prosperity. Don't let your life drift away in blame and complaining. Take control of your destiny's ship by becoming a lucid captain, one who reads the wind, watches the clouds to avoid storms, and most importantly, turns the rudder in time before crashing into reefs. That is the attitude of a truly mature person. Someone who doesn't live by luck, but by courage and wisdom. In the end, intuition is the wisest teacher, the most loyal friend that nature has given each of us. Our task is simply to learn silence so we can listen and to have enough courage to follow its guidance. so that every step we take is steady, avoiding the mud pits of late regret. Trust yourself. Deep down, you always know which path is right. The only question is whether you dare to walk it.